And striking a deal, oil-producing countries agreeing to cut output by 9.7 million barrels a day in an effort to stabilize the price of crude. President Trump weighing in on the much-anticipated agreement.
Countries around the world will cut oil production by approximately 20 million barrels. People are saying 10 million, but we think that the number that they'll actually hit is going to be closer to 20 million barrels a day. This historic action will help nearly 11 million American workers who are supported by the U.S. oil and gas industry.
And in fact, the Saudi energy minister told me that the cuts will, in fact, actually amount to nearly 20 million barrels a day. He confirmed what President Trump just said when taking into account pledges by other G20 nations and purchases into reserves. Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman telling me just how historic of a deal this really is.
In all my 33 years of being at the oil and then energy ministry, I couldn't have conceived that the whole world would congregate to try to attend to this extraordinary situation.
Your Highness, tell me, because I've spoken with the president about this, and the president suggested to me that it was more like a 20% cut, not necessarily, or a 15% cut, not necessarily a 10% cut. So are you going to cut 10 million barrels a day or 20 million barrels a day, sir? Which one is it?
I think the president got it right, that we're bordering 20 million. And it is, I'm very grateful for the work that the president did, the Secretary of Energy did, and to the people around the president, they were extremely helpful. I also need to mention our other partners of Russia. I would also have to mention the king himself was engaged. Prince Mohammed was the true hero of this whole thing. He put time, effort. In fact, he was more or less even in some aspects, especially this serious matters, he was literally, physically negotiating certain elements of this, the dominant and major components of this deal.
When you first were talking about prices and seeing prices move lower, you didn't have COVID-19 as an issue, and then COVID-19 obviously has shut down demand around the world. So was that part of the push for you, knowing that global demand had dried up because of this virus?
Well, we have a record to show. Ever since the 23rd of January, we've been warning people that this is going to be mammoth, this is going to be big, and this is not going to be left for a country or even a group of countries to attend to. Unfortunately, with all the messaging we've been doing ever since, as I said, 23rd of January until the 6th of March, our calls, our warnings were unheeded. Came 20 March, and things even convoluted in a worse situation where people did not find even the space or the stomach to try to stomach a bigger cuts, and the market was left unattended to.
But, you know, Your Highness, one of the reasons I think that the market has not been reacting to this, I mean, you just said a moment ago it could be up to 20 million barrels a day that you're cutting. This is a big number, and yet the market is not reacting to it because the market doesn't believe the cuts will actually happen, I guess. There's really no accountability here. I mean, if Moscow doesn't cut, are you still going to cut? What's to keep you guys from continuing to keep this promise?
So you had a 24% increase ever since last week. Yes, it is going to be challenging to all of us, those producers that have committed, to prove to the world and to those who are engaged in this market that we mean business and we are serious. Now, talking about Saudi Arabia, I think we have a record that we are the first to sign up, and we are the last to leave our commitments. I'm sure that what the whole industry went through over the last month is going to be there for quite some time, that people would know exactly that if they don't perform, that lack of performance would hurt them as opposed to benefit them. With that in mind, we also, within OPEC Plus, we have our regimentation of monitoring, and we have a system that enables us to see on a month-to-month basis how everybody's faring. Now, the other side of the story, with the pragmatic approach of cutting, we still have, for example, you have the IEA, you have the EIA. They are all institutions that they have a good record of numbers, and they do publish numbers on a regular basis. And we have the G20, and we have just assigned an ad hoc team to continue monitoring and continue reviewing. So it is not going to be left for a chance here or a chance there.
And do you think that if you don't see the kinds of cuts you're expecting from Russia, Mexico, even the United States, are you going to keep your commitment?
Well, I think we are all in dire need of maintaining our commitments. None of us will gain if we don't fulfill our commitment. I'm still hopeful. As I said earlier, we would not have gotten into the deal. We would not have signed up to it if we had a fringe of concern that people would not fulfill their commitment. But as I said also earlier, we are the first to sign, and we are the last to leave.
You announced that your production cost is $10 a barrel. That's, of course, obviously one of the lowest in the world. But what is the price you need oil to be at to balance your budget? Because I know that when you're looking at a fiscal budget elsewhere, you need much higher prices for the shale companies to actually make money on this. Do you need, for your fiscal budget, do you need $70 a barrel oil?
I have a story to share with you, and also to share with our friends at the platforms, in be it at the US Gulf, be it the shale producer. All of us as producers are suffering, even Saudi Arabia. Yes, we're prudent. We've been cutting budgets. We've been constraining programs. We've been doing like every other producer doing. In fact, we are more exposed to oil prices than others. But that doesn't mean that if you have a $70 so-called budget, that you cannot have the liberty and the ability to reconfigure yourself to make sure that you become an efficient producer, and also being a prudent financier of the budget. People go through this situation. Look at every company in the world: Exxon, Mobil, Chevron, BP, Shell. They all went back to their boards, shelved project, shelved prospects. So as a country, they do also go through these processes. So to think that we will be targeting a price simply because we have this budgetary requirement, we have the prudence, we have the resilience. And I would refer you to Modi and Fitch. They have made their
yes, the ratings agencies. The ratings agencies, absolutely. Yes. I understand what you're saying. Let me ask you this, because, this whole COVID-19 situation, this coronavirus, has stopped the world in its tracks. And, of course, we are expecting a severe recession. If you listen to Jamie Dimon this week saying it's likely we'll see a severe recession, oil is telling us that as well, certainly with where the price is. When would you expect global demand to start increasing again? When do you expect the world to be back in business and the price of oil to start moving on just supply-demand fundamentals, like the airlines needing to buy more oil?
This is one of the fundamental issues that people are not yet, they haven't yet grasped, which is probably the energy sector is the most hit sector out of all of this thing. Why? Because of mobility. I was talking to some journalists yesterday, and I was telling them, look, jet fuel has been hit, diesel has been hit because of gasoline is being hit, bunker fuel is being hit. So if you look at all the sectors and how much of an impact this virus is making over the economy, even within the economies, you would see the energy sector as being hit the most. So where you can recover, I think the more you see the lockdowns being released and more movement happens and mobility start to thrive, I think you will start seeing these things. Short of that,
yes,
we still will be under the custody of that situation.
I see. Final question, Your Highness. I know that the U.S. shale industry has been doing very well, and there was a lot of reports that Russia basically wanted to put that industry out of business. This does represent competition for the oil producers of the world. Were you looking to put the shale industry out of business, Your Highness?
Never. I have friends, I have pals. They are part of. We have a good relationship with them. I was in public in December many times saying we like them, we want to prosper with them, and we never got engaged in a so-called zero-sum game. And therefore, yeah, they might have gotten that wrong impression. But I think if they calm down, look at how we're behaving over the last 50 years, I don't think they will find a better partner than Saudi Arabia.
Well, I know that the president thinks very highly of you, Your Highness, and has talked to you a lot during this period. Can you tell us what the president said to you?
No, he was talking to His Majesty the King, Salman, and His Highness Prince Mohammed. I've never had the honor and pleasure of meeting him or talking to him.
I see.
But it would be a privilege if.
Well, Your Highness, I so appreciate your time today. My final question here, as the president and people try to speculate on what is going to happen in terms of these production cuts, do you think Russia will keep its promise to cut?
I have no reason but to believe them. I have no reason but to believe the president. I think he's doing a great job. I was asked a few days, what do you think the president is doing? I said, the president is doing what a president should do, or a head of state should do. This is a sector within the oil and gas sector. This is a sector that is creating jobs, creating communities, contributing to GDP and growth, solving a serious issue when it comes to energy security, enhancing prosperity within certain states. I wouldn't say anything, but show me any president that would not be attentive to all of the above. So I salute him, and I salute our friends in the shale platform, in every platform in the US. And again, I would repeat that: focus and look around and see who is your true partners in this endeavor.
My very special thanks to His Royal Highness Prince Abdulaziz bin Salman on the major historic oil deal.